Our next presenter is the former CEO and Managing Director of SGS Far East, Ms. Rosario Bradbury-Cajucom. Let's hear Ms. Cajucom.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's great to see beautiful, powerful, insightful ladies on this room. I've been introduced to you as a woman of a position before, but I have to tell you that 2 years ago, as Richard has mentioned, I was a speaker here in January 2014. That was 2 years ago. I was one of the speakers, but back then I was the CEO and Managing Director. I was then the CEO and Managing Director for SGS, a Swiss company, and I just like to correct it does a back office, but it's actually an inspection, testing, certification, and verification company. So all of your offices have been my client before, either in the manufacturing, production, air, wind, mining, agricultural, you name it, has been touched by SGS. So my corporate life with them was for 30 years. You see, when I was asked actually by Rebecca to speak again here, I told myself, I'm very grateful, really truly grateful to be talking again with you, to share with you what impact the forum in 2014 has given me. It is very important for me to tell you this because it was in 2014 when I first came out from my emotional depression. With a 30 years career, 10 years being a CEO, I wasn't a call agent, I was a telephone operator. There was no BPO call agent in 1986 at the time. And I rose from the same company to become a CEO. Now I ask myself, I'm speaking again, but I have no more big title to offer you. I have no name card to show you the big company I work with. What am I going to share with you? Okay, I have 30 years of corporate life. But what is there to give? But before I start, I want to share with you a poem written by my 11-year-old son. He has witnessed me. Can I have the poem on the screen, please? A leader. My son is an 11-year-old and I never knew he could write a poem until last year of January. I took him to the office and I said, look, I cannot take you home. Can you just sit down first in my office? In a few minutes he came out and he wrote a poem and knocking at the conference room, Mommy, I have something to show you. Okay, what is it? And this poem he wrote, a leader. A leader is a team's feeder. He or she is the root of a tree, not an annoying bee. The leader doesn't need to be the strongest or the richest. The leader just has to be good, like every leader should. A good leader is a must, as well as just. Respect your feeder, your leader. You have no idea what such joy it brought me, that I carried him in the middle of the office and embraced him so much that I never knew how much he observed me in my career life and as much as I observe him. You see, I've been married for 12 years, but for the past 11 years, we were never together. We were only seeing each other every 3 or 4 years. So, I've shown you the poem, but today, I am no longer a leader of a company. But does that devalue my worth? Now, I want to show to you a video. And that video, for some reason, really hit me hard when I saw it. Can I show the video, please? This is a 30-second video. Maybe you have seen this movie or it's just a trailer.
Know that you have
much like part of this movie, but I don't think I'm a bitch. I'm not a biatch. But I have been successful in my career, and I can say that with a lot of certainty. Started as a telephone operator with the same company for 30 years and has become a CEO. I have become very powerful. And I was in control of my life, of the office, the employees, of my own family, until one day I was no longer in control. Why? 2 years ago, the subject of my talk here was about supposedly the success factors of being a leader. I decided at that time not to talk about the success factors. I decided to talk about my fear as a leader. I spoke about my depression. Because I was feeling empty, I didn't know what was happening to me. I was seeing a lot of doctors, a psychiatrist even. And the psychiatrist, I told her afterwards, I was paying her 1,000 pesos per session, and I couldn't understand why I do all the talking. And I pay him. You know, like any CEO, you question, I pay, you don't give me anything, but later on I realized the value. After the third session, I told him, I'm going to resign from my post as a CEO. And she told me, why? For the first time she spoke. Why? Because the cause of my depression is my acid reflux. And my acid reflux comes from my stress of my career. I cannot control my emotional stress, but I can control my career. I have given a lot to my career. What else am I to prove? So I said, I'm giving up my career. This was 2013. I was about to turn 50 years old. You can call it midlife crisis or menopausal stage. And then she said, may I now speak? I said, okay, what is it? I'd like to give you an advice. What is it? Do not resign. I said, why? Because that's the only thing keeping you sane right now. Everything else is down in your life. You're hypochondriac. You cannot sleep. Your spiritual is down. You're losing weight. How much more can I lose weight with this body? My hair was falling. My skin was getting really dry. I feel like a dry plant of no life. And she told me, I'm not asking you to resolve all the problems of your life, but little by little lift them. When you have lifted your physical, your mental, your health, your emotional, even a little, then you revisit whether you want to go and give up your career or not. Then you have a fighting chance to survive. Otherwise, if you give up your career right now, you will fall very fast. Because your career is the only one holding you on the ground at that time. Then it made sense. Ooh, the 1,000 pesos is worth it. I was just playing in my mind. I waited a while. She told me, I'm not asking you to resolve your marriage. I'm not asking you to divorce. I'm not asking you to fight for it. I'm asking you not to be in limbo. Make a decision about your personal life. Because until you keep that on limbo, everything else doesn't matter. It reminded me of TED Talk. He said to have a quality life, you must have a meaningful relationship. In 2014, I came out as a speaker here. That's when I spoke about my depression. And what did it give me? I tell you, it became therapeutic for me. As much as I shared my life to the people, I felt that I may have inspired them, but they have also inspired me to move on with my life. It was in that talk that it gave me 3 lessons. But before that, it was in 2014 that I decided to give my marriage another chance. The birthday of my father-in-law at the age of 80. Something was in the room. Lots of love. I couldn't put my finger in. You know, whenever I go to church, I never say, peace be with you with my husband. Because I don't want to lie in front of God. But during the birthday of my father-in-law at the age of 80, something in the air of love and family values hit me so hard that I suddenly embraced him and said, peace be with you, and let's give this marriage another chance. But I told him, but when your father turns 81 and nothing happens, that's it. I still gave him a deadline because any CEO gives a deadline. But then my father-in-law died even before the age 81. And I told myself, what message is this giving me? That it is not fair to just say you've done everything when you don't live in the same country. He's in America and I'm here. Since then, when we told our son about the death of my father-in-law at the age of 80, it changed his whole life, and he cried and he wrote a poem. And I'd like to show to you the next poem as my ending here. 80 years. The poem he wrote, when all of my life have changed, and I'd like to read to you. He wrote this on the day we told him his grandfather died. Within 5 minutes, he wrote this. And this has changed my life dramatically. 80 years, written on April 16, 2015. 20 years in life is a childhood and teen years, the time you have barely fears, the time you should enjoy forth better because it won't last forever. 40 years here is when you are older, the time you are bolder, the time you get a house, maybe even a spouse. 80 years in life is when you retire because you want to relax by the fire, be healthy because you might die, you might fly into heaven and die. Live life to the fullest because you could be the best, and remember, have fun every moment till it is done. This has become life-changing for me. In April 2015, after this poem was written, a notice has been given that I shall be relinquishing my post. And I gave 3 months' notice. I gave up my career, went to the United States, has moved there to be with my family, to give my marriage a fighting chance, to give my son a father in this tender age of teenage life. The talk I had here in 2014 has changed it. Because on that day, I felt a lot of people have been a magnet for mentorship. As much as I've gained a lot of mentorship to other people, they have been my mentor. And I've realized in life, mentorship is not just during your career today. Mentorship should start at the age of 20 towards your career, 30, 40. You should not stop at 50, 60, 70, and 80. Because every decade of your life, your priorities in life will change. Your mission will change. Not because I'm no longer a CEO, my mission has not changed. My mission now, every January, we do strategic planning. But this January, my strategic goal is to make my marriage work. And today we go on a date, but the date we do is to go to the gym together and find the commonality of our love again. I am taken a full circle. I have been a corporate CEO and now a homemaker, cooking, washing, cleaning the house. There's no made in America. And I'm transitioning now to an entrepreneur in the hope of bringing inspiration to many lives. Thank you very much and have a great, insightful today. from many speakers of the summit.